I used to be hesitant about taking insurance. If you've been following me for a while, you might have heard me feel frustrated about what goes into being credentialed and the logistics of really working with insurance. And today I want to break down why I've changed my mind and what that means for me and my future. So stay tuned. I used to be hesitant about taking insurance, like many of you, due to some of the obvious logistics. Getting paid late, being responsible for a lot of admin, and billing and headaches that come with a lot of red tape when it comes to insurance. But everything changed for me when I realized how strategic taking insurance can be for my specific long-term goals. So I want to explain that to you in today's video. I'm Libby Rothschild, registered dietitian, private practice owner, and business coach. I see insurance-based clients and cash pay on a weekly basis, and I also help dietitians build scalable businesses inside of my membership. And I hesitated at first when it came to thinking about taking insurance. Billing, figuring out working with so many different online portals from Availity to CAQH, also delayed payments. Sometimes you get denials. I remember thinking, no thanks, that sounds like a headache. But with virtual care laws expanding in the last several years since the pandemic and venture-backed companies that do undercut fees, insurance became not just viable, but a really attractive option for many dietitians. Now, I have seen in the industry a lot more dietitians are taking insurance post-pandemic. I've seen that trend. Even dietitians that we've supported over the years that are very successful with cash pay have decided to add insurance into their workflow. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe why is that happening and what does the industry shifts look like. Taking insurance can support structure, visibility, and scalability. And that's something that can be challenging when it comes to cash pay. Now, there's a lot of benefits from cash pay. I can do a dedicated video on that if you want. Comment below and I will. Beyond some of the obvious reasons, like not dealing with delayed payments, there are also a lot of attractive reasons that you might want to add insurance to the mix for your business. The question might just be the timing. I was very hesitant until mainly the industry shifted. That was what did it for me in terms of what changed my mind with insurance and thinking it might be a viable option after so many years of not wanting to deal with the admin headaches. When telehealth regulations relaxed and then people started doing reimbursement remotely, insurance made access easier across state lines, even though there's licensure and all kinds of red tape, and we don't have a compact licensure, meaning dietitians can't get licensed in one state, and that means we're automatically licensed in several. I know the Academy's working on that, but who knows when that'll go into effect. Nurses and other allied healthcare practitioners do have compact laws where it's easier for them to practice across state lines. It's still not entirely easy, but it's easier than it's ever been. We have a long way to go. Being credentialed in other states is a way to expand. It makes accessibility easier for the provider and obviously also for the patient. That really opened my eyes to the possibilities post-pandemic with virtual laws accepting virtual care and allowing you to get credentialed in other states with the caveat of licensure. Although you probably know some states like New Jersey don't require licensure. That's very complicated and you definitely have to look up the laws as they do change. The other big thing for me is I do want, and I'm creating a business that I can structure to sell. And that was honestly probably the number one reason that I started taking insurance. With telehealth expanding, it's really creating a sellable business that is the main reason why I started taking insurance. That's my main motivation. So I want to ask you to think and reflect on what's your main motivation for taking insurance. And if it is because you want to build it to sell, I can definitely share with you some tips and tricks, but I want you to think what motivates you right now. So I didn't just want the business to end when I did, and I did not want to build a personal brand. So when I create Rothschild Nutrition, which is the name of my practice, I want it to be systems-based and not personality-based. I really want the focus to be on the disease states that we solve, on the team I'm growing, on the processes, SOPs, hireability, and really the sellability of the business. That's what I'm focusing on. So unlike a personal brand, which relies on, let's say, me, this insurance-based business, this model to bring recurring revenue and referral systems that are repeatable and transferable to the new owner that I'm setting it up to transfer to when I do prep to sell, right? So I initially created this business to sell from the very beginning. I have that intention with all the decisions that I make. And so the third reason that I've taken insurance would because it does support my long-term mission. And this is a huge reason. This has been like something I've been thinking about for a very long time. Getting contracts, processing claims, and training staff it all feeds back to what I teach a dietitian boss and helps role model for dietitians and really show you how I do things. And it helps you see that multiple revenue streams can be a viable option, and maybe even selling a business as a dietitian becomes something that's more common. Although I know that the stats of selling a business in dietetics are very low, but in me doing that, I can role model that it's possible. Right? Because I know therapists do sell businesses and that's more common, but it's not common in the dietitian space. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's not common. I really wanted to be able to role model what are the possibilities as a dietitian that you might be able to do that you didn't know were possible. And that's where I can do it and show you my journey so you can follow me along the process, and only strengthens the work I do at Dietitian Boss. Even though I do not love the paperwork, I don't love denied claims, I don't love all the admin, but I keep going back to my why. Why am I doing this? I'm creating a business that sells. The laws virtual access has expanded since the pandemic, and the work I'm doing is role modeling what's possible in the field of dietetics that is not always seen as common or seen as an option for dietitians to pursue. And maybe you don't say you want to do that in the beginning. That's not something that feels tangible, but with time and growing your skill set, it does become like something that you want to leave as a legacy for your family or create your stronger body of work. So as a recap, healthcare changed post-pandemic, with venture-backed companies coming in and spending hundreds of thousands plus on marketing budgets and employing dietitians as well, but undercutting fees for dietitians, with access increasing with telehealth and the insurance payers allowing telehealth to happen more than they have before, access across state lines. Insurance makes a lot more sense than it has before. It's not as limited, although you still have to pay attention to the laws and regulations per state. I see insurance as a business building tool despite some of the limitations and frustrations. Now, insurance can bring structure, right? And with referrals and systems, and you can scale your practice, and especially if you plan to grow it or sell it by hiring clinicians, creating a group practice. You can even sell a business. It doesn't have to necessarily get to a certain income level or level of profitability. So if you are ready to build a sustainable, scalable insurance integrated practice, or you just want to build a cash pay practice, but you want to understand the concept of customer service, scalability, and creating flexibility within your workday, I do invite you to join my membership called the Dietitian Boss Library. And I guide you through all the aspects of clinical skills to business building that will help you grow a business that fits your lifestyle and that you feel really proud of. See you next time.